There is a city in France where people literally argue over who gets the better view, the lake or the mountains. A place where even the bicycle paths have better scenery than most people's vacations. But here is the catch: Annecy isn't just beautiful. It's one of Europe's most fascinating examples of how urban planning, transportation, and landscape can work together instead of fighting each other. Most cities spend decades trying to balance nature and growth. Annecy, it's been doing that since before sustainable urban design was even a buzzword. So how does this small alpine city manage to be so livable, scenic, and still functional, without collapsing under the weight of tourists, cars, and rising housing demand? Annecy sits in the Haute-Savoie region, near the Swiss border, surrounded by the Alps and wrapped around Lake Annecy, one of Europe's cleanest lakes. Population: about 130,000 in the metro area, small compared to Paris or Lyon, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in setting. The city's layout is dictated by geography. You can't sprawl too far when you've got mountains to the west and a giant lake to the east, so Annecy grew inward, compact and walkable by necessity. The Thiou River, one of Europe's shortest rivers, snakes through the historic center, dividing the old town into narrow lanes, stone bridges, and canals. Think Venice of the Alps, but with way fewer gondolas and a lot more mountain bikes. Historically, Annecy grew from a medieval fortified town into a regional administrative hub under the Dukes of Savoy. After joining France in 1860, it started modernizing, but unlike many industrial cities, Annecy never became a factory jungle. The lake and the mountains acted like natural zoning laws, keeping heavy industry at bay and tourism at the center. Annecy's urban planners face a challenge that every postcard city secretly hates. How do you grow without ruining the view? In the 20th century, the city expanded through mergers, a metropolitan area covering nearly 200 square kilometers. This wasn't just about politics, it was about controlling land use, housing, and mobility together. The Annecy 2050 vision sets out to add 20,000 new housing units while preserving green corridors and limiting high-rise sprawl. The focus is on density done right, adding mid-rise blocks near public transport and mixed-use corridors while keeping the mountains visible from nearly everywhere. Urban designer Michel Devine described the city's approach as intensification without suffocation. That means no random towers blocking lake views, no massive shopping centers, and strict protection of waterfronts. Even parking lots are designed with trees and green roofs. And here's the clever part. Instead of building outward, Annecy built inward, repurposing old factories, underused commercial zones, and surface parking into new neighborhoods. Urban infill is their secret weapon. The result? Compactness with breathing room. Now let's talk transport, and this is where Annecy gets really interesting. Despite being small, the city deals with serious congestion. Why? Because it's so beautiful that everyone wants to visit. In summer, traffic on the lakeside roads can crawl at 10 kilometers per hour. But instead of giving up, Annecy decided to go big on active transportation. Here is what it looks like. 132 kilometers of cycling routes within the metro area, a regional bike-sharing program which rents out over 700 e-bikes, and a lakeside cycling path that's so scenic it attracts over 1 million cyclists a year. Yes, even tourists rent bikes just to say they biked around the lake. Walking is also a huge part of the daily life. The old town is almost entirely pedestrianized, with narrow alleys, arcades, and market streets. The Thiou's riverbanks are lined with walking paths that connect to residential areas, parks, and even beaches. Annecy's public transport network, operated by Cipra, runs about 26 bus routes covering nearly 400 kilometers, serving 10 million passengers annually. And while there is no metro or tram yet, that might change soon. In 2021, the city narrowly approved plans for a modern tram line, which could carry around 50,000 passengers a day when completed. But perhaps Annecy's greatest transportation success story isn't the buses or trams, it's how they have reclaimed space from cars. Many old parking lots have turned into plazas, trees, or bike hubs. The city introduced low-emission zones, encouraged car sharing, and promoted park and ride facilities for commuters from suburbs. And yes, Traffic still exists. It's a tourist city, not a utopia, but you can tell Annecy is trying hard to make moving around part of the experience, not a punishment. Here is what makes Annecy really unique. Its landscape isn't a backdrop, it's a part of the city's infrastructure. Every route, bike lane, or pedestrian bridge seems designed to showcase the scenery. Urban planners here realized that beauty keeps people moving. When walking or cycling means constant views of Lake Annecy or the snow-capped Alps, people naturally choose those modes. The Lake Annecy perimeter path stretches over 42 kilometers, connecting the city center with small lakeside towns. It doubles as both a recreational route and a commuter corridor. You can literally cycle to work with swans swimming next to you. Annecy also invested heavily in green urban design. Pocket parks in residential neighborhoods, green corridors linking the lakefront to hill areas, strict building height limits to preserve sightlines to the mountains, and rainwater management systems that protect the lake's clarity, the same clarity that makes Annecy's water famous worldwide. This isn't just about aesthetics, it's environmental planning at work. Lake Annecy is so clean that swimming is allowed in the city center. That's not luck. That's the result of decades of wastewater treatment and land use control since the 1960s. While other lakes in Europe suffered from pollution, Annecy decided early on water quality and urban quality go hand in hand. Of course, all this beauty comes with a price, literally. Annecy is now one of France's most expensive cities, with housing prices averaging over 7,000 euros per square meter, rivaling parts of Paris. Locals joke that you can afford either a lake view or a living room, not both. If you want both, you'd better win the lottery or marry a mountain guide. The city's housing pressure is driven by tourism, second homes, and limited land supply. That's why Annecy 2050 focuses on densifying already urbanized zones instead of expanding outward. Another challenge, traffic from suburban commuters. Even with good public transport, 40% of daily trips in Grand Annecy is still made by car. The upcoming tram line, expanding cycling network, and better intercity bus connections aim to reduce that figure by 2035. Yet despite these challenges, Annecy consistently ranks among France's top 5 most livable cities. And not just because it's pretty, but because it's planned to be human-scaled. The average commute within the city is under 25 minutes, and over half of trips under 3 kilometers are made on foot or by bike. So what can other cities learn from Annecy? That urban beauty isn't accidental. It is the result of countless decisions where to build, what to protect, how to move people, and how to make walking or cycling feel like the best choice, not the only one. Annecy's story is proof that urban planning doesn't have to fight nature, it can flow with it, literally through rivers, lake paths, and green corridors. In a world where cities often pave over beauty for efficiency, Annecy quietly reminds us that the most efficient cities are often the ones people love to be in. And maybe that's why it attracts millions of tourists every year. Not just because of what it looks like, but because how it feels to move through it. So next time you see a city trying to balance urban life and natural beauty, remember Annecy. It's proof that when planners, architects, and citizens actually care, a city can be both a postcard and a home. And if you ever visit, rent a bike. Trust me, even the traffic jams have a view.